Thanks everyone for coming this morning. So Mac is a graduate student at the Center for at Gustavson School of Business. He's in the Management and Organization program there. His research focuses on social evaluations, cultural constructions of organization, regenerative sustainability, and innovation. His recent work is emphasizing the role of ecological knowledge in place-based sustainability, and he's won a prize. He's won a WONE Best Student Paper in 2024 from the Academy of Management Conference in Chicago.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Without further ado, he's presenting to us a very interesting title, The Swiss Army Knife, from AI to Meta and AI Research.
Thank you so much, Cynthia.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm to say thank you one more time. But actually, again, I like to reframe it in the right mindset that this is going to be a workshop. It's about you. It's not about me. It's not about my research. It's about my sharing with you what you can do in terms of using AI in your scholarly work. Before I continue, first I'd like to acknowledge that. I'd like to thank you. This workshop has been developed based on our conversations with Joe Baum, our professor from University of Toronto. Also, Emily Nicholson is our UVic library, and also Jody Welch. Also, very special thanks to Leah, Elena, and also Yasmin, and all of you who joined me today, particularly to those who has responded to the survey. To make this workshop much more exciting. I like to start with a very some kind of joke. This is kind of very typical way that people respond to the institutionalization of AI. First, you tend to deny it, then you get angry about it, then try to negotiate a little bit, then you get depressed, but finally you have to accept it. Do you agree with that, right? Institutionalization. But you actually don't need to go that way. Okay. If we shift the perspective, by considering it just a tool, by just learn how to do it. So that's why I like to explain a little bit why I use the metaphor of the Swiss Army knife to talk about it. So what? Do you get angry with a knife? Do you get depressed because a new knife just been launched? Of course not, right? You just learn how to use it. You use it when you need it. Or you can use it as for fun. When you travel, you grab it with you. If you like to isolate yourself, you go to the forest, you stay there, you grab that kind of things with you. If you consider AI is a kind of a tool for you to help you better deal with a job, that's maybe the right mentality to go for. And also, I want to clarify a little bit in terms of meta AI. When we do academic writing, so meta text is the thing you start before you write a whole section, right? So it's about the text, about the text. So this section is about A, B, C, D, and I'm going to do with this first. So meta is the same idea right there is an AI about AI. So meta is kind of the self-referential. In simple terms, we use AI to create AIs. Use AI to create another AI tools for your specific task. That's the very general idea. So just have fun with this and consider it as just a tool for you. All about the anger, the depression, maybe we're going to leave it outside the room. I'm kind of ambitious when I come to this workshop. Not only aim for immediate impact, but also for a long-term run. I really hope that after this workshop, you can first immediately better prompting. Prompt is the way you talk to AI so that it can listen and do the work for you. Second, we set the mentality of a working custom GPT assistant. So you've been using GPT in a particular way. Let's see how you can change it. The custom GPT is are designed, so a GPT that is designed for a particular task. And then we are familiar with the validation protocol to enhance the quality of your you're using chatbot. And in the long-term run, we consider AI building methodology and consider it a virtual assistant. And also you can integrate it into your workflow, no matter whether you are a researcher or research assistant, you do the field work, you do the policy maker proposition or this kind of thing. And then hopefully it can become a super power tool for you in the long-term run. And you don't get scared or depressed with that anymore. Okay. Before we come to the very core of the workshop, I'd like to set the institutional context in terms of what is the position of UVic regarding generative AI, for example. And then I'm gonna bring a little bit the fundamental knowledge about what is generative AI and how it can relate to your research. Before that, could I ask you one quick question? Very simple. Could I invite you to join me at slido.com and then enter the code 012 and answer one very simple question. Thank you. Okay, we have our Bobby ChatGPT Copilot complexity. Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if Google is in the center.
That's true, but they're AI.
All right. Have all of you responded? Can I move on? Thank you so much. I love your answers. That is so great. So it means that our job is done. You know all about these things already. You've been using it. But maybe I'm going to add one more thing because we've been using it. We've been using them for quite long. We never talk about it within the community. Maybe today I'm going to take the lead and talk about it, highlight it in terms of how it's related to your research. Before we can continue, could I invite you to do one more thing? Could I invite you to join me in this link and grab the material, the whole material for this workshop? I would not like you to switch the device because a laptop's gonna work better. But in case you want to use a mobile phone, you can grab the link with this QR. But otherwise, please join this link. And then it's gonna take you to the list of materials that we use throughout the workshop today. The one more thing I'd like to do is to set the stage. Three things. Please feel free to interrupt me anytime you need and you want. Second, Matt, can you share the slide? Of course, I'm gonna share the slide. And you're probably gonna see the number 5 in the list of material. I'm gonna upload it, and you're gonna find a link there after the workshop. And then I would switch this rather a conversation rather than a lecture. So because I also learned from you as well. Okay, so let's get into number 1. So how open is UVic regarding generative AI? Short answer, yes, it is open. Long answer, yes, it is very open. And if I have to put it in terms of a lengthy answer, I'm going to show you some indicators. So what does it mean in terms of UVic is open about generative AI? If you get into the UVic website following this link, you're going to see UVic is explicit about the embracement of generative AI. For the very first statement, it says, University of Victoria embraces the integration of generative AI tools in as a responsible, ethical, and equitable manner that enhances learning and teaching as appropriate. Not only the statement, but also its issues, the scholarly guidelines about you can use it as an undergraduate, graduate, or even scholars or staff of the institution. Not only that, it also offers you a range of workshops to deal with. It seems that my task is done. But I'm going to go beyond what you can find at UVic in terms of fundamental approaches, in terms of prompting, advanced level. I mean, I'm going to offer you the workshop with the advanced one, something you cannot find from UVic. And then specifically the Google Notebook LM, you may want to find some more information from there. One thing you may notice is that the audience of these things are not just undergraduate students, but also staff, faculty, instructors, library staff as well. on the side of things you can find by following this link. UVic is also very open and offer you a range of chatbots that seems to be safe. It's explicit about, well, you can use ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, Perplexity, and also Gemini. And it's also explicit that it bans the use of DeepSeek. You know why? If you please, anybody can help. Can you say it louder? Why DeepSeek is banned?
Is that the racist one?
Yeah, that's great things. Matt. Yeah, it could be. There are a couple of reasons for that. One of that is about the bias, political influence. When we go further, we're gonna see the framework to evaluate an AI tool, and one of them is gonna be the bias in terms of the answer. Let me give you a very quick example. You know the South China Sea conflict among the Asian countries, particularly China, and DeepSeek is made by a Chinese firm, right? When you ask about that in the Vietnamese language, it's gonna say it belongs to Vietnam. But if you ask it in English, you're gonna say it belongs to China. Yeah, those kind of conflict, it try to trick you in terms of they like to make you happy.
Yeah. But isn't ChatGPT equally biased?
Generally, yes, I would say, but again, even we don't go to AI, the knowledge we create is also biased in itself, all right? But to some extent, these are institutionally accepted. Do you agree with me in that? Yeah, okay. I don't go to that far, thanks. But again, I like to emphasize these are things accepted as UVic. I'm talking about in this context, right? Yeah.
So do all of those like the Claude and all of that, they do the same thing as ChatGPT?
Yeah.
Just another platform, another app or whatever?
Thanks, Bud. Yeah, great question. Generally, they won't call chatbots. They can offer you similar functions, like can answer your questions, connect directly to the internet. But it can vary in terms of the number of tokens. Tokens are the units of data that they connect in a network to give you a better result or a better memory that you can write a whole book or just a short chat and lost the whole context after a while.
I find it amusing that UVic uses the term to, in their sentence, to decrease hallucinations.
Yes.
Another term for hallucinations is either factual errors or lies.
Yeah.
But by calling it a hallucination, we're making the generative AI seem more human-like. It's able to think like us by calling it. So we're introducing our own bias of seeing AI as something beyond a tool, but we're seeing it like, replacing human intelligence by calling it hallucination as opposed to factual error or lie.
That's a wonderful,
So
wonderful. We're gonna come back to that. I'm gonna use exactly that term.
but UVic calls it hallucination, so that's me.
Okay.
Can I have a hot take on that? I think it's actually worse than what you're saying, because hallucination implies a sort of understandable error,
Yeah.
right? Versus saying, I hope they're errors.
Yeah.
And I hope they're not lies.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think it's that to me is the bigger danger.
Yeah.
And I think, when I think of you could add one more cartoon, Mac, which is what I'm gonna call the nervous skeptic / paranoid person saying, what is happening to me? And that's where I am in this weird spectrum. It's like I'm past all those other angry and all that. I just don't know, because exactly what you just said. And the fact that they is saying hallucinations make me even more
Marketers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly the term I'd like to use later on, so you go much ahead. Yeah.
Sorry.
It creates hallucination. That's great. No problem, Cynthia. Okay, allow me to continue. Back to this. Okay, so one more thing that UVic can offer, this actually comes from librarians from McGill University, is the general framework for you to evaluate an AI tool. They use the abbreviation is that the robot test. It means that there are 5 criteria you can consider when you assess an AI tool. whether it is reliable. So what's the objective you use for that? What kind of bias? It is political bias, knowledge bias, or those kind of things. And who's owned that? That is exactly the thing why the Chinese version of ChatGPT, DeepSeek, is banned at UVic in particular. And then what type of AI, as Bart also asked, different AI may have different functionality. You use it for different things. All right. Yes. Okay.
I understand all of them except for the type one. Why might that matter? Like, can you give an example?
Okay.
Yeah.
The type of AI. Okay. What subtype of AI is being used in this tool? I think it's the technical element in terms of whether it is a large language model or generative AI. The large language model is about owned by the text. But if we talk about generative AI, it's a mixture of both text, audio, code, video, those kind of thing. Yeah, it's based on the deep learning and it's fundamental, but it serves a different subcategory of AI. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. Yes, Nicole.
Sorry, you're never gonna get to your actual.
Go ahead. Please, you always do. I'm kidding.
On the LLMs, so they're only text-based, they're not deriving meaning from the text beyond what the text says.
Okay, that's right. Yeah,
It's only text.
exactly. The thing I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
Maybe I'm gonna get there and then you're gonna finish early. Awesome. This might actually come after definition of that, but then I don't need to do that, right? So if you can think about LLM, so large language model in terms of statistical power, his job is about to predict the next word in a sentence you type in the chatbot, right? So what word can come next after this and this? So by using the metaphor of parrot, it means that it can construct the sentence, the whole paragraph, the whole book for you, but it does not understand exactly what it means. It doesn't care about that. Also hallucination, Cynthia, this is for you, right? Okay. So it can give you a wonderful statement, an argument, a hypothesis, or a theory elegantly. But of course, it is not responsible for the truthness behind that statement or theory.
Yeah.
And then the bullshit is not my term. I didn't invent it. It actually come from this paper. So if you produce this kind of knowledge using AI without your epistemic authority in your term, epistemic authority, we gotta keep producing bullshit over time. That's why we really need the human element in that. If I have to illustrate the whole process of co-constructing, or let's say humans using AI to generate new knowledge, it may look like this, okay? In terms of context, structure, and evaluate. You see that the human element in terms of you create the prompt. Again, the prompt is about the way you talk to the chatbot by putting a command or a statement, right? So prompting is so important. You facilitate the process, you curate it and optimize it. And then you validate it and apply it and decide whether it's true or not, you accept it or not. Do you agree with this? Yeah, so you see, we gotta see that human AI co-construction process of creating new knowledge rather than leave it for a whole AI to write whatever it wants. It's actually you again, you hold an epistemic authority along that process. Thank you so much, Nicole. You make me go faster. Okay, so if you don't mind, I'm gonna continue from here. And let me see if I need to tell you other things before this. By the way, any other questions before I continue? No, thank you. Yes.
I
Okay.
think we'll hold on to our questions and let you get a little farther in your.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the questions I received in terms of in the survey before this workshop is about short out different platform of AI. Maybe if you can do it yourself because it's gonna give you a tons of hundreds of AI tools. It's about the platform, right? For using different kind of tasks like create video, writing books, writing story, create images, video, this kind of thing. But in this way, I categorize it in terms of the technical element that Sarah asked about. If you talk about like predictive AI, I promise to you that you have been using it for years, even didn't noticing it. Is that right? So predictive AI, when you go to Amazon, you buy a thing, it's gonna show you, you may want to buy these other things as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly the same thing happened for Netflix or YouTube or even Google, right?
Yeah.
And then when it comes to generative AI, that's exactly the thing we've been talking about at UVic, right? Called ChatGPT Perplexity. It's about infinitely creating new patterns among text, code, images, videos, right? And then one more thing, this is another revolution of generative AI, agentic AI. You may know about Comet. Comet is actually a browser being introduced by Perplexity. You know, browser, you use Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge. So Comet is another choice in terms of if agentic AI can help you make an order on Amazon automatically without your involvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. If you take it to a higher level, as you may know about Elon Musk. By the way, last year he launched a startup called Macro Heart. What is it? What is the opposite of Microsoft? Macro Heart. So the idea is that a software company which is 100% run by AI. He aims to replace Microsoft in this area, so he named it Macro Heart. Yeah. Okay.
Totally believable.
Okay, this is the side story. But the main thing I'd like to show you is that when we talk about the different modes of AI work, and we're gonna have 4 modes of AI work, particularly when we put these into the 2 key dimensions. And we take it in terms of the importance of response truthness or response veracity, right? If we arrange it in terms of low to high, and then the challenge is in verifying the output or the outcomes, and also range it from low versus high. We're gonna have 4 different kind of tasks we can think of. You may want to read more. I give the source here for you from this paper. We have autonomous task, then automated task, augmented task, and authenticated task. Autonomous task like low stake things like repetitive, easy to verify. Let me zoom in a little bit, then you can read the text better. Then augmented task, you deal with something like idea creation, right? Brainstorming, and the accuracy of those things may come later. Does it make sense to you? And then authenticated task is all about creating a new thing. You go out to the field, you do indigenous, community-based research, you come back, you write, and you feed back to the bunch of knowledge out there. You write the new things about that. The truthness of responses are so important, and it requires a rigorous human oversight. Another thing is the automated task, just routine task, right? And it's easy to verify. You check the attendance who joined the CFGS today. Does it make sense to you? Okay, so I have one small task for you. When it comes to the research process, you're gonna have this kind of things you do, right? In terms of you do the literature review, you do the interview, you do the design, the research, data cleaning the data, reference book matter. So I like you to help me to put these 4 blocks into 4 ideal types of AI tasks. Can you help me? Can you think about that? I give you 1, 2 minutes. Thank you.
Those ones there on the left?
Yes, much easier to.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes, Matt.
So I've tried to use the Chat GPT Scholar for
Yeah.
assisting with literature reviews.
GPT Scholar, yes.
I would put that into the authenticated task because what I found over and over again
Yeah.
is it lied. I told it exactly
Oh.
which journals to go look at.
Yeah.
And only bring me back references that it could verify were authentic.
Yeah.
And it repeatedly gave me false references.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I would call it out. I would say, no, I've gone to the journal and looked for that. They don't exist. Oh, I'm sorry. You're very detail oriented.
Really?
Let me try again.
That's
And
let you know.
I've had like 4 iterations of that and never could return anything
Yeah.
that was true.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful observation. And that's exactly the reason why I'm here today to talk about how to do with that.
Yeah.
I think one of the things is that the GPT you use, I'm not sure when you use that.
So maybe a month ago.
Okay,
months ago.
okay, still quite recent. If I have to take a guess, the GPT or the chatbot you use is not exactly customized for literature review. Because in order to do the task, like you hire a research assistant, the very first thing you need to do is to train them what to do, what to look for, and how to verify it. If we lack that training session, exactly for an AI, we don't feed them with the knowledge or the criteria to do. And one of the very important things is to tell them that never fake the reference or citation.
Oh, I did that.
You sorry?
Yeah, I did that.
You did it, okay.
I don't think, I think we haven't the technology hasn't caught up to
Yeah,
maybe that 4th box there of authenticated tasks, because I've got lots of comparable stories of
yeah,
Maybe,
of that, but so maybe AI is better and.
And I think there may be
Different
a
boxes.
legal issue that prevents it from actually going to the actual journals. I don't think it can
Yeah,
access.
because it hasn't.
Yeah, it can't get in there to really do the work.
Yeah.
but there are
Okay.
apps like to train to do that, like Science Space, is it, am I right?
Yeah.
Is the one that can actually do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You talked about some customers,
Yeah.
sorry, customized version,
That-
right? Yeah.
Science Space, is it, right? Science Space?
Yes.
There are a
Yeah,
couple of
SEO
platforms,
Yeah.
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 also Rabbit Network or something. I'm gonna show you a bit later. But maybe you might want to try it again after this. I'm gonna show you how going to do that.
Okay.
Okay, you got your answers, right? Could you please just throw to my face one or two?
So theory developer would be augmented tasks.
Yes,
Reference format or automated?
yeah,
Yeah.
Ultimate coder, I can't imagine not doing coding.
okay. Coding?
Well, I guess it just depends on your methodology, but I can't imagine like having something do my coding for me, then what would be the point of me being a researcher?
It's a good question.
Exactly.
Okay, okay, yeah. Okay, thank you for your answer. Yeah, no matter what, I'm not gonna say you wrong, but just, this is my answer. Does it make sense to you?
A qualitative coder, I can,
Yeah.
okay, I can imagine using that.
Yeah.
But I would assume like, just in terms, just like with high quality, content analysis, we would use multiple coders and we would
Yeah.
test for intercoder reliability. So I would expect that would still need to be done, and so I wondered if that should go the authenticated.
Yeah, I would say it may be the case that we gotta reiterate the process of coding. And of course, you may go beyond after letting AI to code your transcripts. You can do reiterate with a human intervene after that. But just one thing, related to that, before we actually give it to AI to code it, we need to feed them with the coding scheme.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's gonna go everywhere and it's gonna show them everything. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so right now you you can make sense of why I use the metaphor of a Swiss Army knife is a very versatile, multi-purpose and adaptive tool that can help you to deal with many tasks. Right, any questions, please? Okay, so one more thing we want before we move on related to this, of course, when we use AI, exactly just what you just pointed out is related to risk. And the kind of task you assign or you ask us to do for you is already related to a kind of certain risk like this. Does it make sense to you? Okay, so just a very, very short summary. So we talked about this, right? The AI do the job for you. It's kind of a power to say whatever it knows and it doesn't make sense of anything. And it can create this hallucination without a critical view or the human elements behind that. And it can create a portrait if we humans don't hold our epistemic authority. So that's why the whole process of co-constructing knowledge with AI it always requires verification. Any questions or comments right here? Okay, great. And again, one more time, that's the reason why the prompting is so important. Do you know why it's so important in terms of prompting? Okay, so one of the responses I received regarding the survey is that the outcomes of using chatbot is inconsistent, all right? So it doesn't return the things that we want. It's about the inconsistent output, right? And if you know about the nature of the chatbot, so the outcomes gonna be equivalent to the quality of the prompt you put in. So that's why prompting is so important. We're gonna talk a little bit about that right now. Okay, so prompting 101. Okay, so again, I like to repeat that the prompting matters. Garbage in, garbage out. Exactly doing on kind of research work. Garbage data, garbage findings. If you have the clear prompts, you gotta have the much clearer, high quality, reliable outputs. Okay. By the way, could you please help me draw 3 circles? I need 3 circles. Could you please draw 3 circles and throw to my face? Wonderful.
Yeah.
You draw all the circles in different way that I don't want to say. Pretend that you are an AI and I'm the guy who gives the prompt. That is the bad prompt. Draw me 3 circles, right? Without any specific context, without any specific role in terms of you as an AI to do the work. That's exactly how it works. So how could we turn a vague questions into clear, reducible instructions for research? Of course, we're gonna talk about some building blocks of a good prompt. How does it look like? Well, a good prompt seems to include 4 main things. First, it needs to define the role of an AI. So who should the AI be to do the task or drawing the 3 circles? Okay. What kind of task is that? The context for that, what background or details matter, and then the outputs you want to see, whether it's a table, whether it's a paragraph, how many sentences, how many words to limit, or it's a graph. Does it make sense to you? Okay. Sorry, I don't want to offend you with the example, but just I think it's gonna memorable.
Mhm.
Okay, another bad prompt. Code this transcript. You go to the field, you do the interview, you have the transcript, right? But code this transcript doesn't make any sense. No context, no role, no format expectation. This can be better by saying that you are a qualitative researcher or a historian or a community-based researcher or political scientist or even a office manager. Okay, and then you apply this coding framework. Maybe that's the thing, Matt. We need a coding framework for them to anchor what it should look for. And of course, it can extend if you ask us to do that. And then highlight the text segment and assign the closest theme and return the result in terms of the table. Of course, you need to set the stage for what it does. Does it make sense to you? Okay, there's some time to take photos. If you want to make it to the next level of prompting, you may want to have a look at this. Of course, I have designed a GPT for you to do exactly the things. You don't need to remember, you don't need to write down, at least you have the slide and the GPT to do on the things later on. But I mean, more details, more specific tasks, and more reliable outcomes you can get. Okay, again, you can cast the AI into different roles, again, as a librarian, historian, the field researcher, community-based researcher, political scientist, a lawyer, office manager, director, all this kind of thing. Unfortunately, this workshop is all about research, so the code and the ChatGPT I designed is for research only. But of course, you can extend it. Any questions or comments, please? Yes, Matt?
I'm wondering, particularly like on the literature.
Yeah.
Review strategist. So I would do that more in Notebook LM. Because I, as far as I understand, I could be
Yeah.
wrong. I understand that in Notebook LM, it's only going to look at the text that I give it and nowhere else.
Yes. That makes sense.
But I don't do that in ChatGPT because I'm concerned it might look outside of the text that I give it and start bringing in other things. But do you know about that? Can you say something about that?
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a very valid point. With the Google Notebooks LM, we need to find the text and feed the AI with the text. It means that it limits to the scope of the materials you give it. Do I understand it correctly?
Right.
Okay. So I see a difference in terms of the approach. If we ask GPT, of course, it can go beyond and go. It can cover the other text that we may never reach or cannot, even didn't think about it. In my observation and experience using, it returned quite good result. It can show me a kind of very classical readings that I never know about. Of course, I need to come and read it in myself, but I'm gonna take like a temporality approach. So first, I like to explore a little bit by using GPT. Give me a list of 10 or 20 classical must-read pieces in the field, and then I load them. And exactly what you said. When I like to exploit the exploitation after exploration, I'm gonna focus on those texts that I want to exploit in the later stage. Does it make sense to you?
Because I tend to start with Scholar GPT to get some ideas.
Mhm.
It returns hallucinations, so or
see.
false
Yeah.
references.
Yeah.
But those references have words in them that are relevant for actual things. So then I go to Google Scholar and find the actual things that are related to that.
Yeah.
And then I download those and I put them into Notebook LM. And then I start the analysis of the actual things in Notebook LM.
Makes sense, yeah.
At what level is it more time consuming to do that than just read it?
Well, if you're maybe putting together 15 or 20 articles, it's still more time consuming to go find them.
Mhm.
First you spend a lot of time finding the relevant 20 articles, and I think the combination of Scholar GPT and Google Scholar can maybe help you more quickly find the relevant articles.
Yeah.
And then you get them into Notebook LM, and that can very quickly summarize. You can interrogate all kinds of questions.
Yeah.
And it can give you these outputs that would have taken a long time. I think it probably reduced the time it would take me to do a literature review by, I might get it done in a couple of days rather than a few weeks.
Okay, yeah.
But I think you're also showing something, what Mac was getting to about the importance of the human AI connection. So you have the training, right? You're old school. You know how to do this stuff from the ground up. And so when you go in, you're like, that's a hallucination. Like you can spot the errors. You can see the bias.
Yeah.
But what about the generation
That's what worries me.
that doesn't have the old school learning how to do these skills themselves? They go in and it's like, that hallucination sounds right.
Yeah.
concerning, but I
Yeah.
think my students is very concerning.
That's true,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Matt, could I invite you to try the GPT I'm gonna offer and see how it's gonna work out, and please let me know after this.
Mhm.
So what, you coded something yourself?
Yeah, a little bit.
Nice.
It's feeds with basic knowledge as a scholar. And again, one of the thing I do here is never fake any citation or references.
Yeah.
That's the principle is gonna follow. Okay, so
Wait,
any,
does it
yes, go
make-
ahead.
Does it make reading easier then, because the way we've been trained to
Yeah.
read articles is like read diagonal, or like just read parts when you're reviewing
Yeah.
literature, so how does that really help? Even your reading, because now if you rely on that and it's given you a very good literature review, I mean, you're like, you're not really reading the
Yeah.
actual things. And so will it also help like reducing that time that you invest in reading? Like
Mhm.
you go and when you read the actual article, maybe it can
Yeah.
take less time to
Yeah.
read the article itself.
That makes a lot of sense. And again, I like to emphasize the idea that, remember, we scholars, we have the epistemic authority to decide whether the outcomes from the AI is usable, is truthful or not. If we say that we cannot validate, we cannot verify it, we may fail to use it. And whether it is effective or not to use in terms of reading that, in my experience, it is effective because it quickly pointing to the classical work I can read. I take the authority to have to read and verify whether it's saying truth or not. So I make this decision.
How do you train
Yeah.
undergrads in
Yeah.
that then? You can ask
Of course, that's a different story because you are at a higher level, so I'm not going to talk about.
But then you also allow for the entry of bias. So what are the classical works, right?
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
biases there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as a scholar, we hold that authority. We have to maintain that, right?
Yeah.
But as
Yes.
critical thinking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, critical thinking. That's right.
it's one thing as like somebody who's trying to use this to write something new.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking, well, my own personal writing, I write in feminist psychoanalysis, so it's like a very different type of literature review, and I'm sure yours is very different too, right? Like you're doing philosophy or you're not just like what's everything that's been said. It's like I'm looking for like one missed interpretation, like in the 30s, and go from there. But like as an author,
Mhm.
I put so much thought into every word I
Yeah.
write, and I don't want somebody going through and taking, like, I don't want a robot or a chatbot to like
Okay.
decide what the best, like, it's not gonna know what's the
Mhm.
most important thing in this particular, or maybe it will. Maybe I'm not as interesting or as deep as I thought, and that's the ego part of it all. But I just feel like I want people to read what I
see.
wrote.
Yeah.
Why would I write it
And
otherwise?
I want to read what you write. So as a university professor, it's so boring to read generated AI research. It's like, it's incredibly vague. They're using
That's
words
true.
that clearly the students don't know what they mean.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm wasting my time reading
And you're wasting your time
Yeah.
writing. If your
Yeah.
passion's gone, someone's
Yeah.
just gonna, a bot is
So-
gonna scan it for like the most
So I want to
relevant thing.
read your ideas.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
That
Don't give
makes
up.
sense to me as well.
You'll be the third person. It's not like it's a very like citation heavy field.
Thanks, Caitlin. I think it makes a lot of sense to me as well. I actually don't use AI to write my thing. It just helped me to
In the research
access.
process.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I think it's.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, maybe just now that this point is raised, I mean, so I waited until the end to raise my question. I mean, at the risk of sounding like a Luddite, I mean, why should we use generative AI in any phase of our research? I just have very strong ethical reservations. I think it's a form of cheating. I think it's like, what's the ethical difference between using a ghostwriter and generative AI? The difference that obviously it's not free of charge and like you can just access it. I mean, is it like using ghostwriter? I mean, why is that okay? I mean, I just don't
Yeah.
understand that.
I think there's a different levels of tackle these questions, right? Even because we talk about this conversation happened within UVic. UVic also talk about, well, we need to use it ethically, right?
Yeah.
Equitably. But if I have, Oliver, could you please give a minute? Okay, so if I have to tackle it from the institutional perspective, like UVic as an institution, when the AI, this kind of thing come out, it also face the legitimacy issue, right? So what they don't, if they don't talk about generative AI and undergraduate students use them to put into the work, and the educators or teachers stand in the class, deal with that, they face uncertainty, right? So it has to adopt somehow to maintain its legitimacy and to avoid a little bit uncertainty whenever any innovation come out. And along that institutionalized process, if it doesn't work at all, it's gonna deinstitutionalize it. Does it make sense
Yeah,
to you?
I mean, I understand, so
Yeah.
from an institutional standpoint, why the university can't just like, just say, oh, it's all banned and no one can use it, but why should we still use it, like, beyond like issues of legality or whatever, like, why should we, like, you know, on a normative level, use this kind of thing?
Yeah. I think if it goes to a very individual level, I think you can make a decision on that, whether it works for you, whether it doesn't work. I think it's a tool, right? We can use this tool for one thing. We don't get depressed when the new tools come out. It doesn't matter at all. Does it make sense?
So I had a quick follow-up, sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
So I didn't quite follow what the last person, like.
I mean, as you said, as a scholar, we don't actually need to use it because of the ethical issue, right? So my perception is that if as the individual level, we consider it as a tool, it doesn't matter if you don't use it. You don't want to use it to cut the fruit, you use something else, you deal with it. Does it make sense? It's a matter of choice.
Yeah, I'm also wondering, like, kind of the scope of your question, like, should we use it at all for anything is one question, but I thought your question was, should we use it for writing? And I can, like, I wouldn't use it for writing, but I would use it in the way I described for speeding up my literature review work.
Do you?
Just to do it, you know, that kind of piece of work, I think.
That somebody created that piece of, so but then you're not using it for writing, but you're using it for reading, but then the next person who uses it for reading is using your writing for reading. You know?
Sounds complex,
It's like, so, but it's like a ghostwriter plus that offers not only writing services, but also like research services, right? I mean, isn't that sort of even worse, actually?
But with the literature review, like, I'm going through the exact same steps and processes I would have done previously without any of this. It's just making it faster.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's not helping you with the writing, it's helping you process the.
Do you feel like
sources.
you know the literature any less now than you would have before? Like,
Well, so this
the process.
this is back to, I think, in terms of what was said before about the prior knowledge that we go into this with.
Yeah.
I'm not using this like to learn about literatures I'm unfamiliar with. I'm very familiar with this area of work anyway.
Yeah.
I've got some detailed questions I want to ask of this literature. And rather than me manually going through these dozens of documents and finding those specific sentences about such and such, I can just ask it to do that very quickly for me. And it actually shows you where in the article it got that specific thing, so you can quickly go back and verify that that's really talking about what you wanted to know about.
Yeah.
So it's just speeding up what I was already doing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. That's a wonderful response. Yeah, thank you for having me with that. I actually have that point, but I'm gonna put it in terms of whether we want to take an either or, get trapped in the either or thinking, whether take it or not take it. We can still have the other way, both and, right? We can do it in a way that is ethically acceptable, for example. Thanks.
Can I maybe just
Yes,
expand your comment?
okay.
Oh, did you have Phil, go ahead.
Do you have a follow-up point? Okay.
The degree integration tool, and for summarizing stuff you already know, in the sense that like, you know, a little bit of literature review, but you want to figure stuff. I was thinking of, for professors that have written an article and then have to write that little abstract.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the AI can pull out that summary, because it's already your stuff and it's just interrogating it. And I think because you were the knowledge expert, you know exactly if it's going to be correct or not.
Yeah.
So I think it's just one of those little tools that we have to keep exploring, because it does make work more efficient. In some ways, but it also can lead you down a rabbit hole if you're not helpful.
Yeah.
Thanks, Oliver. Sorry, thanks, Jennifer. Oliver and then Iman.
Well, maybe two things, I guess. I think your analogy of a tool is really important, to your point, because I share instinctively I share your feelings. But I suspect I felt the same way about the internet. And I felt the same way, you could argue at a moment, I like the cool cards in the libraries, like that's when and so that goes to your point, right? Like, is it speeding up something I'm already doing? So I think that's something I have to ruminate on. I can't actually comment. I'm just sharing you what's going in my head. But I'm going to now bring a uniquely CFGS perspective to this, because we've brought about with demand. But I think what you are doing is a really important service that I have lots of really good things to say. There's an important additional thing we at CFGS have to think about, because we're not just great researchers writing great articles. We are also people who are interacting in the world and changing things. And that actually changes how and why we write the articles. I would argue, so this is all our opinion now.
Yeah.
And so that, I think, is another layer we need to put on there, whether you call us a policy analyst, or law reformer, activist, community-based research, or whatever.
Yeah.
And that requires us, I believe, a ethical responsibility to have an intimacy and sophistication of the knowledge, so that in a real world setting, you can interact and in real time make adjustments and play it out.
Yeah.
And that doesn't answer the question, is AI better or worse? Because I think you're forced, if you care, to get in deeper. So you can't look for shortcuts. But at the same time, the volume of literature is so big, you have a responsibility to kind of stay on top of it. You can't just pick your little corner that we all look to be in. And so I don't know that helps us, but I think it's an important lens we as change agents, I would call it, have, because we have to think extra hard about this, because we can't look for shortcuts.
Yeah.
Shortcuts not allowed. If it helps us do it better, then yes. If it doesn't, and it's just a shortcut, more articles is not the end. That's what I think Rod would say.
Great. Thanks, Oliver.
Some of the work I do is sometimes called epistemic justice, or knowledge democracy, or epistemic humility. And so there's within that kind of discursive universe, things that are important are working in languages other than English. And knowing that the internet is 85–90% English based, in looking at a diversity of access to diverse ways of knowing, which we talk a lot about here at UVic around Indigenous, but there are hundreds, thousands of context specific, historically specific ways of knowing. So getting away from Eurocentric kind of knowledge, which we talk a lot about here at CFGS and other places. So and then the questions that others have raised about, is this a way of, even for those of us who are happy enough within the kind of Eurocentric world, is this a dumbing down process? For maybe not for us, certainly not for me. You talk about old school. I define the term, but for others who are coming along and coming into university now, where the university says we can use AI and all of that for everything. I don't know, where they're going to end up. Will they end up, like Matt and Cynthia and Oliver, or will they end up, I don't know, just
monolingual.
Yeah, monolingual and monocultural. So how does AI move us towards more epistemic diversity if we believe, as ecological diversity is thought to be good for the world. And so many of us believe that epistemic diversity is good for the world. How does AI come into all of that?
Sounds like you're arguing that's coming to a sort of the creation of the loss of
Yeah,
epistemic
that's
diversity.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or it's
Is an acceleration of the loss. It's already bad enough.
I think a nice example that could contribute to diversity is, I know some First Nations are working on creating AI elders,
Yes, I know.
right?
Somebody.
So that they're inputting, they're trying to gather this knowledge from elders and kind of preserve it in a way
Okay.
and make it available in a way so that it's there, it's part of the conversation rather than ignored by the whole
Yeah.
system. I don't know if it's the right thing to do or not, but I know it's happening.
Well, I think that, and I'm just looking around at people's faces, which I understand because I had the first reaction too, is like, ooh, that's, and this is what happens, is like, it's okay for everyone else to modernize, but Indigenous people have to stay romantic in the past.
No, my image was, I thought I had an image of a hologram coming out and being an elder and everything.
Yeah,
That was a goal.
right?
That could
Like,
happen too.
yeah, like, why not, if everybody else is doing it?
I was thinking of my grandparents. I was like, are we doing this with all children?
Well, they brought back Tupac at Coachella a long time ago.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea. Okay, can I continue with Iman's?
Thanks.
Could you please do it quickly?
Yeah.
People have to practice.
Yeah.
Summarize it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to somehow presenting something that can maybe help us here. I don't know. It will deepen the depression. And I'm always that so much more cynical. So it's like there is one side to technology that is equipmental, instrumental. There is another one which you're talking to its essence. Like it's changing the whole world. It's changing the life. Like so we can't stay so much positive about that technology is a tool or something, like ships, guns just made slavery possible. Otherwise, it wasn't possible. So AI would do that again. Like it's just I don't know, in different aspect of life. It's monopolizing. It's just universalizing. It's just and but there is another thing that the very same structure that we are so much afraid of now had started like long time ago, and we are afraid of that our writing would go away or something. But honestly, a good part of the whole literature review is some kind of copy of each other. They are already like an algorithmic writing with the same structure. There is no accent into that. There is no. So the whole structure is being exacerbated, and I don't know, perhaps my idea is that we will be in a time that some works are handmade, they are cherished, and those people who can make handmade are privileged as well, because others should work in factories and just doing prompting and everything. There's
I greatly appreciate your critical perspective. I totally agree with you that whenever the new technology innovation come out, there always a group of people who seems to be past oriented, and the other seems to be very future oriented. And I think you just bring in the other side of the same coin. But I also like to say that it goes far beyond the scope of this workshop. It's all about to show you a little bit more future oriented. Can you bear with me on that? Because I like to show you some more amazing thing that a future oriented thinking can bring you. And of course, authenticity, craft, work that people have been attaching to. That seems to be recently researched in our even scholarly discussion as well. Totally, yeah. But it go beyond the scope of this thing. Okay, so right now I'm gonna show you some way to do how to improve your prompt. Thanks for the lively conversation. That's why we have a little bit narrow time. So we're gonna do some design and validate some research prompts. Now I'm gonna invite you to come back to the material and click on the link. Do you remember that one? Okay, so here you go. It's your time to explore, experiment, and just experiment. So the idea is that you're gonna try to put in a prompt, and underneath of this chat, I put some criteria, the 16 criteria to help you validate it. You're gonna see what they are in very soon after you click enter. So now your job is to put in a prompt and follow the instructions. Let AI guide you and just respond to that and see what's gonna come. Does that make sense? So just go ahead.
Are we trying to follow that same, I call it craft, like context, role, action?
Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's gonna show you some criteria in terms of a table to access the prompt.
So Mac, I asked whatever this program is, I asked it to write an obituary for Alberto Fujimori in my voice for The Economist.
Okay.
And it keeps coming back with the same prompt, but in different versions.
Yeah.
So how do I get
exactly? So this okay. That's a wonderful question, Cynthia.
This is just
Cynthia, this is the prompt analyst.
Oh, it's just a prompt provider.
Yeah. And then
So
it's
it's
just
making my prompt longer.
Yeah.
it's just like a rabbit hole, right? You get in that, you do the chat until you satisfy with the prompt. You check it to put it in a different
Oh, I
chat,
see. Okay.
and then you do the task there.
Okay, got it.
I asked mine to plan me a 7-day trip in one country that has the world's most renowned roller coasters. To have the most prestigious roller coaster vacation. It said that I shouldn't have used the word best. Fair enough.
That's kind of fair.
Okay. I should have put in who I am.
I think that gets you the nature.
Who they're doing the task for.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I quickly interrupt you? Does it work with you? Does it work with your prompt? Yeah.
It's not building a prompt, it's just returning.
More prompt.
Yeah, that's right. So the nature of this is chat is to help you validate and improve the quality of the prompts. That's the idea. You remember garbage prompt in, garbage prompt out. So this chat, particularly if you don't pay for ChatGPT, you can use it.
Okay.
But the next one I'm gonna introduce is much more advanced, but you need to pay for that. By the way, I don't work for ChatGPT. Okay. Okay. So any other questions regarding this, please? No.
You want? This is so close to being right.
Yeah. So anyway, let me give you some basic question. Did the prompt analyst can improve the quality of the prompt you put in? Does it make sense to you? I didn't. I put there 16 criteria. It to evaluate your prompt based on those criteria. It's clear in terms of which one passed, which one failed, we can improve on it. By the way, which criteria do you think in your case improved the most? We look back to your table in your chat box.
All my words, they needed to be more specific.
Be specific. Thanks. Okay. It's just like Matt asked me to draw 3 circles, right? It's very general, it's vague and ambiguous, and it doesn't make any sense. Any kind of circle, even draw 1 circle and say these are 3 circles that overlap. Yeah, it needs to be very specific. Okay, so you may want to reflect on that, but again, this custom GPT is to help you to improve the quality of your prompt. And again, garbage prompt in, garbage prompt out, better one, more reliable, with the better quality prompt. Okay, so the next more advanced, I wish we had more time, but anyway, I'm gonna offer you. So we're gonna design some research aligned conversation assistance. Let me problematize what we've been doing. The one we just tried is a free version. you don't need to pay for a ChatGPT to do that. But if you pay, you can create your own custom GPT. It means that you can extend this Swiss Army tool to multi other purpose. Today, it works as a research assistant for data collection. Tomorrow, you can create a different GPT to analyze the data, to collect the data, to redesign the interview protocol. All right. But sometimes that we have to rebrand it every time. You have to dig into the rabbit hole, grab the things, and come to the other one. And then you have to make another prompt for another task. Why don't we just create a whole GPT? We just jump in, we don't need to reprompt, everything is fitted there. And that's exactly the idea of the custom GPT. Custom GPT is about first to capture your best prompts for consistent reviews. Okay, you give it with we feed it with the pre-trained persona, the preferences, the context, and the knowledge, and together it's gonna consistently perform based on those criteria. You just jump in the chatbot, it's basically understand on requirements in some of the context persona. Let's do that. Just one more thing. Why it is valuable? It's valuable because it's offer you better consistency. Because again, you feed it with basic knowledge. Let me repeat the metaphor of you need a research assistant. He or she come in, right? But you need to train him or her before you can say, oh, this task you've done so well, right? Training is important. You need to retrain it. And then you can tailor and you can scale it. Right? You can even share with your colleague exactly the way that I share with you, right? The custom GPT to build the meta AI to build the other tool. Yeah. Jody, I told you earlier, the only limitation is our imagination. Or you can even ask AI about that. Okay, now I don't let you wait further. Let's jump into this. You don't need to have a pay account to try this, but you need a pay account to create it. Now I created for you, you just need to try it. And you gotta use that to create your own things later when you pay for the account. Okay, please come back to number 4 in the material list and join me in the research GPT builder. Thank you. Yes.
This is your machine. I'm not quite sure how to get back to it.
Okay, you don't worry that it's lost. No, it never lose. You just come here. Okay.
Okay.
And you can click on this.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, next,
Yes.
so Bob had a question on the chat as well, if you want to see.
Oh, please.
If you just like to.
Now we're doing.
Just there. I don't know if it's still online actually, but.
Yeah.
GPT.
That's true.
So what it does is. Yeah.
So we have to.
Yeah. Okay, Jen.
No.
Yeah, that turns out. Yeah. Yeah. Mine, I said in the single. Yeah. So it's not a very certain. That's already.
Any other?
That's all good. I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Very, very specific.
Okay, tomorrow.
I'll hear you right now.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, I will talk to him. Joanna, could you please give her a minute? I'm gonna let people here work on the prompts and gonna come back to your questions. Is that okay? Thank you. Okay, are you there, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes.
Okay. So again, whatever interests you, this is about to build your own GPT, right? You can start with the prompts I give you there and let it guide you. Any questions right here?
So is this one that you made this one with your own prompts too, right?
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
feed us with some knowledge.
Yeah.
Do you want to just move to the?
Yes, please, yeah, go for it. Can you,
That's tricky.
I can unplug this one actually.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Being for Japanese intellectual history. Anywhere there.
So in this one, it's kind of like you've started to design the research GPT and now I'm
Yeah,
asking it things and starting to train it.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna show you steps by steps.
Yeah.
Maybe compare.
Like this.
Yeah.
But for specific tasks, depends on what you.
Well, just
want
gotta see what you mean.
Right.
What information you give it.
So
Yeah.
what is the main goal?
Paid
Right.
To customize it, so it remembers.
Yeah.
And this is so one primary. Okay, well.
What is 20 or something? That's true. Business, then you don't really need.
It's 12 o'clock.
Yes.
So maybe we can invite people who want to keep working on it to stay.
Sure.
Because I think we end at 12, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to just a couple words of
Okay,
to close and then people want to keep.
okay, sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Cynthia. I'm gonna come back to that.
Sounds good.
Okay, so in the interest of time, thank you, Cynthia, for the reminder. So we have been here, let me quickly wrap it up. I have brought the idea of meta AI in terms of you maybe young simply do the one-off question from ChatGPT and then do the task where we actually use it to create another tool. And then the possibility with generative AI also work as a, tackle multiple kind of tasks and the risk associated with it. We also just offer you the custom GPT, but in the future we can go beyond the large language model and also try to integrate it in your workflow. That's your job to do after this. And some more platform suggestions for you to consider. Of course, I'm gonna share with you the slide as I said to you. Don't worry about that. Okay. And then you may think of the workflow integration. One more time, this workshop is for researcher. You may see it's more about doing scholarly work rather than office manager or lawyer, right? Okay. So before I leave, I'm gonna leave you with a thought. In what you see, is generative AI a tool that thinks for you or a tool that makes you think? And exactly that Zhou has raised the point. And I think that's a critical point to think of. But I also like to say that we don't need to get trapped in the either or thinking. We can even do both have, can't we? Yeah, thank you so much for your engagement.